Alphonso. You all know. You all know. You are where do. You are where do. Don't want be mama. Don't want be mama. Don't want be mama. You know where do. If I Italy roll you. Pambo multiply you baby you again on that. Do away of the world. Don't I blame my no. Don't I blame don't I blame don't I blame do away the world. If I was a man, Pambo Yajola Kana, oh my no. Now you went on your boss, Yajola Kana. Do away of the world. Do away the world, yeah. Mopia, you are the way, you are. Mopia, you are the way, what the way, you are way, do. You are the way. You are the you are the you are the you are where the I'm a masada. My not go where I'm a masada. But if you go here, I won't blame you. If I watch my road, but we are such a gun, baby, you are the man. He gave us a so bad, you are way of the world. Hey, so bad, to blow it. Gain out. Hey, man, so bad. Des beaux. Yeah, petit bailli, l'enfant de petit Jokwe. Toujours choco. Merci, papa. L'arrangeur ne sort pour sous, très trop fort. Mano boyo.
There's a need to educate Liberians. There's a need to educate Africans because Africa is the only continent in the world that didn't seem to have a parent. They were the street child. Europe had parents. America had parents. Africa never had parents. So they're reinventing the wheels over and over, and the wheels keep breaking because the pillars are not strong enough. Africans need strong foundation. You have to start with children. It's hard to bring.
Tonight, we're going to be hearing one of the strong voices in Liberia, a lady involved in politics. She's a philanthropic. She participated in the presidential race. We'll be making a first appearance on the Liberia Public Radio. Our team of analysts are also standing by. The guest is backstage. We'll be coming to you very shortly. Let's listen to some of her work.
Or buy their shoes, their book bags. We find ourselves taking on that role because that is our mission. And because of the level of poverty in the country where you still have 80% of the population living below the poverty line, it started to make sense that we help these little kids because otherwise they wouldn't get help from anywhere.
Yeah. Hello. How are you? Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
What grade you in?
In nursery 1.
You in nursery 1? You doing good in school? You go to school every day?
We started a community project. These were actually children that had either one parent or both parents, but the parents were just in a situation where they couldn't take care of their children. We started putting these children through school because the goal here is to educate the children so they can grow up with a different mindset where they wouldn't just take up weapons to solve a problem, and I know through education we can gain that. And so no matter what we did, the ultimate goal was to make sure the kids were in school.
Hey. Oh my gosh, everyone's getting so big. Look at y'all. Wow, how are you guys doing? Jamie.
Good evening, folks. I want to welcome all of my viewers and listeners across the globe. I am Alphonso Zean, so right here at the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio 10 Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome you if you are in Liberia, turning part of the world. Thank you for sharing your beautiful Sunday evening with us. For the first time, I will be hosting one of the strong voices, advocate, philanthropic, politician, 3-in-1. She will be bringing her here, but you're quite amazing. Was able to have the courage to stood among over 19 men who participated in the presidential runoff in Liberia. Her voices is still being heard. Our team of analysts standing by. We want to be bringing them and then get them back. Near the capital of Washington, D.C., Baltimore, is Professor Asese Labozawolo. He's here, our senior contributor. He's going to be part of this conversation. Also standing by here as LPR analyst is our foreign affairs analyst. Leo Johnson is based in Canada, is standing by to dissect and also contribute to this conversation. The Liberal Progressive from Sacramento Studio B will also be coming in at some point in time, and critical thinker Amos George. All of these best political analysts and contributors of the Liberia Public Radio will be here. But folks, let me welcome you right now as we're going to keep our analysts. We're going to be bringing our special guest here, making her first appearance on the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv, Madam MacDella Mackie Cooper, one of the strong voices and advocates in the politics of Liberia. Why would this woman keep going, doing what she's doing? Let me join her right now and bring her in from the nation's capital of Monrovia, making her first appearance here on the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Okay, there you see her, she is. Madam, good evening and happy Sunday.
Thank you so much, Alphonso. Great to be here with you.
Okay. Ooh. How was the Sunday? Let's insert a little bit of humanity and kindness into this conversation. But it's nothing guaranteed we're going to have some rough conversation here, but it will be done in the context of respect, civility, but with the ultimate goal to demand some answers from our potential leaders or those who are in the vanguard. Okay, how was the Sunday today?
Today was a busy day as usual. I woke up early at about 6 o'clock. And we got the day started visiting different communities because we get invited quite a bit to, go and meet leaders of communities. Many people have said that they've heard me on the radio, they've seen me in the papers, and sometimes have seen me on television, but they have not seen me in person. And so a lot of them invite me out to come and talk to them. And so today I had 4 meetings in several different communities around Monrovia.
On Sunday, no rest?
No rest. No, we're going hardcore. I barely get any rest nowadays. It's okay. It's part of the job.
Ooh, where's that energy coming from? What are you taking? Energy Plus or Local Z? Energy.
I wish I was taking something. Once in a while I pop my vitamins, my multivitamins, but other than that, it's just the drive. One philosopher said, pain and can be forgotten in the midst of urgency. There's an urgent need to move our country forward. And so, you know, I don't think too much about fatigue. I don't think too much about the tough schedule. I just keep going.
Keep going. Okay. One of my shortcomings is introductions of guests because especially when the resume and the involvement is so huge, and it make it a tax because I just don't I just hate to leave something very important out of the picture. So that's very difficult thing for me. But we could do a quick run through. The name MacDella Tamiki Cooper is heavily involved in multitudes of activities in Liberia,
Yeah.
outside of Liberia. I saw this image hanging with Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton. So you seem to get a very good trim and good footprint in terms of advocacy. Okay, let's set the stage here to hear from the house's mouth. You are capable of doing that yourselves. Who is Mickey Cooper, if you were to call you that way?
Sure. Alphonso, my story is pretty similar to most Liberian stories. It's not so unique in a sense that we've all had the same journey and the same experience. But I was born and raised in the mid-70s and to a single mother. And my mom, you know, she was a young girl. She couldn't really afford to take care of 3 children. And so she took us and my brothers and I, and she carried us to her grandparents in Yanakan, River G County, to be exact. In Webwood District, and this is where I was raised. My formative years was spent in a small village near the Kavala River, and I stayed with my great-grandparents as my mother returned to Monrovia to make something out of herself, and so she was able to obtain an education. She became an operating nurse. She met a really wonderful guy there that she eventually, you know, got married to. And she eventually went back in mid 1984-ish. She went and got me from the village and brought me to Monrovia. I attended Calvary Baptist School right there on 18th Street. I was barely speaking proper English coming from the village. The kids in school made fun of me oftentimes, but it was a new style life in Monrovia. And so and then my father, my stepfather who raised me, eventually built a house because they were renting. And then eventually he got a small property out in Gardnersville behind St. Michael's. And he built a small house out there. We moved out in 1989, I guess 1987, I should say. He moved us out to Gardnersville. I was enrolled in Jimmy Jolokon School, which is right near the Jehovah's Witness by the supermarket area. And so we walked to school every day until about 1990. My brothers and sister, the older ones, were going to Cathedral, and I begged my parents. I was like, please, I would do anything to go to Cathedral because I thought Cathedral was such a cool school. And so in 1990, I enrolled in Cathedral High School right up the hill on Broad Street. But I didn't really spend too much time in Cathedral, and then the war started, and we were told to not come back to school anymore in 1990. My mom was missing. She was MIA. My father was there with us. My stepfather, but in Liberia, we don't say stepfather. And so my mom was MIA, and my stepfather decided, look, let's just stay put here. This war, there has been several attempts taking out the government. Nothing ever panned out. So this one's going to be one of them. He was hopeful, and so we stayed. And by the time the rebels hit my house or my area, they took him for questioning, and they killed him. And so my brothers and I were left without a supervision. We went out to just seek refuge. We saw a slew of people just walking one direction. And so we packed our little bags and we followed them wherever the crowd was going. We just went.
Not knowing where you're even going.
Not knowing where we're going. We're just going. We saw the crowd because the rebels started to harass us a lot in the house. We were these young kids and we didn't know what to do, whether to stay in the house because the rebels kept coming by. My stepfather worked for the UN. He had a UN job, and so there were several cars in the yard with a UN license plate, but they thought he had worked for government. So unfortunately, he was mistaken for someone who worked for government, and he was killed. But we didn't believe that he was killed. We just thought we would go in this crowd, and we will hopefully just see him, and everything would go back to normal. And so we kept going. We just kept going. We did that for quite some time. We were harassed. My brothers were tabé, and then we eventually ended up in Ivory Coast, in a refugee camp there. And we were lucky enough to get a hold of our mother. And our mother told her to stay with our auntie. And my auntie was a very interesting lady. But long story short, I ended up in Abidjan, where my mom and my father, who was dead now, my biological father, who was in the United States, started to apply for a visa for us. And then that took about 2.5 years waiting in Ivory Coast for immigration visa. And after 2.5 years, November 93, we were able to fly out to Newark, New Jersey to meet my mom. And
Actually,
that was
it's right within my proximity, like maybe 3 hours drive from here, like Newark. Wow, what an
yeah,
amazing and a stunning story. Whew.
yeah.
Okay.
So if I may finish really quickly, and so we in
Mhm.
Newark, New Jersey, I live on First Street, the Guardian Spires to be exact. You know, when I saw where my mom was and what she was doing and how she was living in terms of her work, I realized we were at the bottom end of everything. We didn't have no money. My mom had to go clean people's houses to put food on our table. And all I wanted was an education. And so I enrolled in Barringer High School right there in Newark, New Jersey. And I did well. I did very well for the few years I was there. I graduated number 3 out of my graduating class, and I got a full academic and partial athletic scholarship to go to any college in the state of New Jersey. And that's how I was able to obtain a college degree. And soon after college, before I graduated, a corporate company or a corporation in New York came and hired me and brought me to New York City. And that's how I got my first job in New York City and started to work and make some money. Yeah. So at the end of the day, long story short, I started thinking heavily about what was happening in my country to those young people who are not so lucky like me. And so I started the MacDella Cooper Foundation. From the foundation's work, I started to come home. I came home in 2005, started to see total disaster in the country. We have fought a war, but we had nothing to show for it. And so I wanted to help the children. I wanted to help the women and the youth because those were the most marginalized in the entire war. And so my foundation focused on education, focused on just giving people opportunity to be something better than I ever became. And that's the work I was doing until about 2015 when I realized that, listen, if we, the humanitarians, don't step into the policy section of this country, I think we're going to be on a losing end because you can only give charity, but for so long, you need long-term plans. And so I entered the race in 2017. And of course, as you said, I was the only woman in the race. And I did very well, came number 7. And here I am today, one of the strongest voices in the country, keep fighting for the rights of women, the young people, disabled people, and people living with different orientation to be accounted in our body politics and to have their voices and their needs met by government, because government is not there just to service their partisans, but we're here to serve all people that call themselves Liberian. So that's MacDella Cooper in a nutshell.
Whew. Wow. Okay. Let's get a ball rolling. What's happening, folks? I want to welcome you. I'm Alphonso Zean of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. You can follow this podcast on the official website, www.liberiapublicradio.com. It's our YouTube page. And of course, the Facebook page, team of analysts standing by. Our special guest, you heard from the house's mouth. I'm so sorry to take you to go through some of those pains, but that's part of our assigned job here. It's good for people who don't really know people's history, their root, to also get it out there because it's difficult. You alone can just get it out there. Like, what the heck she's talking about? But with me presiding here, we're going to get all out. I want to thank you so much at the shortest time to first of all honor our invitation. It shows strength, it shows leadership.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's some similarity here. You, I guess, here from the narrative, you were once a refugee from Cote d'Ivoire. I too was a refugee from Cote d'Ivoire. At some point in time, my friends were calling me roving ambassador from Cote d'Ivoire. In fact, from Sierra Leone to Cote d'Ivoire, then Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana to come here. So there's some little path here in our similarity. But I want to thank you so much for your courage and all what you have done. What was the refugee life looks like when you were in Cote d'Ivoire, in just a nutshell?
Well, it was, first of all, my country was going through a civil crisis. We could not go backwards. And so I was very appreciative that Ivory Coast was able to open up borders to me. One of the things that was difficult in the refugee camp in Danane was that you waited online for everything. You wait online for food, you wait online for the bathroom, for the telephones. you waited online for almost everything. And that was the lifestyle. We became accustomed to it. It wasn't our country. You know, I was just so happy to be away from the constant fear of the rebels because I was a young girl. I was developing. I was 13 years old, and a lot of young girls that age was targeted to be sex slaves. I was lucky I was not raped or abused during the war. My mother was a very strong personality, and she told us fair and square that if we ever embarrassed her or brought any embarrassment to her name, she would kill us. And so oftentimes when we're asked in the war, if we wanted to participate, want to go fight, want to go, or if I was asked to be a rebel's girlfriend, I said, listen, my mom said those things are not allowed. And so, well, you can only say that, but for so long in the midst of a civil war with people who didn't have the right state of mind. So being in Ivory Coast, I was so privileged. I was so blessed. I didn't complain about anything. We barely have food to eat. We barely have money. There are days when my mom would clean people's houses whenever she got a few dollars. She was living on food stamp. She sent a few dollars to us, whatever was left over, because she also had some of my younger siblings with her. She had 3 kids in the United States. And so I was just grateful, Alphonso. That was just the reality of my refugee life. I was away from the bullets. I was away from the bombs. My neighbor, a bomb fell on the house, and a little girl, Ellen, this little girl I love so much, I used to play with, her head just burst open and she died. And
if I may include here a little bit, from the refugee life here, which of course is a history thing, was that a triggering point to do what you are doing and giving back to the community, looking at the young generation to empower them? Was that the refugee scenario experience gave you that sort of drive?
Absolutely. Here's the deal, Alfonso. I was living as a refugee in Ghana. Eventually, we got a hold of my mom, and she was able to get us to Abidjan. And in Abidjan, my brothers and I, my 2 brothers, share a very small studio apartment. And while I was there, you know, I'm a Christian. I go to church. I was raised by Christian grandparents. And so every Sunday, I had to be in a church. And so I go to Abidjan. I'm a refugee there. And I go to church every Sunday. There was one English-speaking church in Abidjan, in Plateau to be exact. We lived out in Do Plateau. I walk sometimes from Plateau from Do Plateau, to Plateau to church. And I meet this American woman who's sitting in church next to me, and she says, "What are you doing here?" And I said to her, "I'm a refugee from Liberia. I'm just waiting for my mom to get us over to the United States." And this lady feels so sorry for me. She didn't understand why a 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl was living all by herself with no parental supervision. And this lady took such an interest in me, and she invited me to live in her house. She gave me a scholarship. She worked for the U.S. Embassy. She, amongst her friends, found a little scholarship for them to go to a local English school in Abidjan, and took me to her home, took good care of me, never asked me to wash dishes or anything like that. And when I saw that woman's level of kindness, it really touched my heart. And I said, if I ever have the chance to give back whenever I can, I will do the same for other young women. And so that's part of it. You're absolutely right. The experience that I had during my refugee years really has touched my heart to give back in the same level I was blessed with.
About pretty close to what? Over 15 years you've been involved in these things, advocates, politicians.
Almost 20 years now, Alfonso. Right? Almost 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
How you square or balance those things simultaneously, taking 3 big, huge law and just putting it on yourself? Get what? 3 beautiful kids? I
have 3 beautiful kids. Yes.
How you manage with that?
Well, I have a great husband who helps me a lot with the kids. He runs his own company now, so he managed his schedule so he can easily take over whenever I'm on the road with the politics stuff. But here's the reality. The reality is my life was spared during the civil crisis. And so my commitment, I feel like God has given me a second chance. And this second chance belongs to my country. I tell my kids all the time, even my husband, I tell him, I say, listen, the call that's on my life is to my country. You guys came here, you met me doing this work. I'm not going to abandon it because of you. But I will do my best to be a good mom to you, give you all of what you need. And even to my husband, I told him, I said, my country comes first. You know, our country, it comes first. So you either love me for this or, sometimes people see my life, they're fascinated with it. But when they see the level of work that I put into it, they get turned off. They're like, wait, I didn't come here. I only came for the red carpet. I didn't come here to do all this work. And so a lot of people pull away. but I don't mind. I'm a lone ranger. Although I have a husband who is very loving, I have 3 amazing kids. I have a good support staff. But I'm a lone ranger. I'm going to do this to the end of my life. I don't care whether someone stays with me or not. This is my calling, and I'm going to stick with it.
Wow, this is quite fascinating. And came to America, and from our indication, based on what you are doing, the American dream, you met it. You did what you could do by not going off track. 2003, you decided to establish this foundation, correct?
Correct.
What was the ultimate goal, and how, if we could take a little retrospect to where you are now? You say you're making an advancement, stagnant, or yet more to do?
Look, I have so much more to do. The foundation in 2003, I was living this really amazing life in New York City. I had become really successful in what I was doing in New York City. People really gravitated towards me, especially CEOs and high-profile individuals, just really like my personality. So I made friends very easily in New York. I was oftentimes invited across the world, to be a part of so many things that, again, I was privileged. I don't know how I managed to do all of that. But I kept thinking about Liberia and where my country was and some of the things that we had gone through, the atrocities of the war. And also, every time I traveled around the world, I was in, whether it was in Paris, it was in Milan, it was in Rome, or just Geneva, or whatever country, Zurich. People ask me where was I from, because oftentimes I was the only Black girl in the room, or the only Black woman in the room. And so I would say I'm from Liberia. And oftentimes the few people that I knew about Liberia would say, oh, you guys are just killing each other in your country. And that didn't make me feel good. I wasn't just content being the only Black girl in the room and coming from a country where people only knew for the atrocities of my country. I wanted to change that story. I wanted a story that was told in a different way, because I know Liberia was more than just the crisis we're going through at the time. And so I got back to the drawing table. I went to my office and told my boss I was going to start a MacDella Foundation. I needed her support. Now, this is a lady who was very ruthless. She was very strict. She barely smiled. And she said, MacDella, what do you need me to do to help you? And I told her, and we started this foundation to give back to Liberia. I wanted to see more. I want to see the Liberia story change. I want to see more young people who come from a village like me, barely had parents. If it wasn't for the grace of God and the kindness of my great grandparents, I wouldn't even be alive, because I don't even know what would have happened to me. So I wanted to see how we can turn more young Liberians into a better versions of MacDella Cooper, or anyone who consider themselves to be successful from Liberia. And so the foundation's focus was just to send and channel resources to Liberia. And we did that. But when I finally hit the ground in 2005 and was faced with the reality of post-war, I said to myself, we have got to focus on education. Education must be the focal point of this foundation, because I think if we can educate more Liberians, we'll be ready to make better decisions versus just go into war as a solution to our problems. And so we started to invest in education. We clean orphanages. We revamp orphanages. We partner up with different families that were willing to take kids, and we partnered up with families who already had children but they couldn't afford them. And so our work was cut out for us. And I love making a change in people's lives. So that's what I did. And it went very well for a couple of years. We eventually built our own boarding school. And then I realized, look, we're making impact, but the impact is too small. It's like dropping water in the ocean. I want to see more young Liberians have access to free education, because free education was what gave me the opportunities that I have today. I got a full academic scholarship to college. Without that academic scholarship, I wouldn't have ever had the money to go to any college in the world. And so the focal point of the foundation became education, but not education as usual, not just to give a scholarship. We had to provide housing, feeding, medical, transportation. We had to do everything. And so we did. And today, like you said, I see the kids who I started with in the video that you show at the beginning of this segment. And those kids are now 19 and 20 years of age. And some of them are working in my office. They're the lead on different things, on different departments of my office. They're waiting to go to school. Some of them are waiting to go to school. They just have to intern for a year before going off to school. It makes me feel good that my life was invested in someone else's life, and this person is doing very well. And so that to me gives me the strength on a daily basis.
Okay, we are about to talk some hardcore issue. That's the
I'm
philanthropic.
ready.
It has going back, going through that, and like I said, pretty well. The narrative seems to looks the same. I went through Danane. Danane was my era. Went through Ghana, and to be where we
Wow.
are. Yeah, Danane. They plateau there. I went to church and came coming
The
home.
plateau way.
They plateau this refuge, whatever temple, and coming home. Those guys, crazy boys, Abidjan, they disrobed me, just how those rebel joint used to. Papa, take all your clothes, and that was a
Yep.
well, that's part of my life. This is
I'm
quite.
so sorry to hear.
Yeah, well, that's it. Everybody ought to have their terrible story more than what I'm even talking about here. Well, let's see here. I'm looking at from things that I've been looking out. Your emphasis, to educate, train. You look at the young generation and focusing on education.
Yeah.
Have you received that sort of support from national government, people inside Liberia? Because when I look at a young generation today and see what is happening, have you got a sort of support to enhance, to expedite what you are doing? Has it happened in the past, or is it happening now?
Well, I will say this much. A few years back, Madame Sharif, when she was the president, she came to visit me on the farm where I have the school. She visited the school. She really liked what we're doing, and she encouraged us to continue. That was the extent of the support I got from the last administration. Now, this current administration, I have a lot of policy differences, and so um, I haven't gotten any support from this administration on anything I do, but that's okay because I really don't depend on people to help me execute the work I was called to do. You know, when you feel like this is your life's mission, you don't really focus on people in terms of helping you. You just gotta keep rolling with what God has called you to do, and you find external, sources and partners and collaborators to advance or grow the projects. And so my friends across the world were able to chip in and help out. And so most of my work, it's really supported by my friends I've met across the world, for the few who chip in other than what I put in. So to your question, no, I don't have any government support at all. No.
Okay, you have this grow. I believe it's a political movement for Want Liberia. You are the
Correct.
you are the. So let's get to this point. How you transitions into the world of politics in Liberia? Why?
Well, philanthropy, all philanthropists are just politicians in waiting. We have noticed social issues that are not so, conducive for the country, and we try to address those issues by providing temporary, relief. But charity is just a short term, it's just band-aid fix. It's not long term. And so anyone who's serious about the ills that you see as a philanthropist, you're gonna have to go into policies to make sure if the right policies are there, you want to make sure those policies are being enforced. And as you know, we have some great policies on the books, but they are not being enforced, either because of the shortage in the budget or just the disregard for the laws of this land. And so whatever the case might be, it was my duty to start becoming more involved in pushing the right policies. Now, when we are in some debate, people will say, "What policies have you pushed?" I invest in sectors that move people's lives forward. I've invested in education, and no one can argue against that. I've spent. I don't even know the amount anymore. At one point, I was spending $10,000 on scholarship for young people. So I've invested a lot in education,
Why?
in healthcare.
Why were you doing that?
Well, because it was necessary for the betterment of our country. If we don't educate these young people, they're going to grow up, and when adulthood and responsibility knocks on their door, they're not going to be prepared. They will not be able to work in the workforce. They're not ready. And so for me, it was critical in the sense of moving Liberia forward. It is critical to educate the young people.
Okay. So let the cat out of the bag. All of this here, and then came the big years, what I could consider, you have a choice to see what is big, the biggest decisions in your life. To go into a volatile, consequential, a place where people bully people that they don't, take our women. They always want to have their benchmark to always serve dinner and breakfast. They don't want them to go to school.
Yeah.
You try to take the ultimate gamble to participate, not just only to participate, but to throw your heart in the ring in the presidential race in Liberia.
Yeah.
How you arrive at that point?
Well, it was an easy decision, Alphonso. It was a really, really easy decision for me. I have been around Liberia. I've seen the lineup of who was in the game, and I said, listen, I'm sure I need to jump in here and put my points forward. I had a 5-star platform, which I had consulted my advisors on, which was 1, education, 2, healthcare, electricity in every home, decentralization of government, and also land ownership. So these were the top tiers of my focal point when it came to my platform. And as you can see, and I don't know if you're a part of the debates, I did very well in the debates because the issues are simple. The issues are simple. Look, government has a responsibility.
Not to interrupt you, debate doesn't matter in Liberia, you think?
Well, no, you just have to debate the issues.
That's what we're supposed to hold the politician. That's what they're supposed to tell exactly their agenda and the alternative they have in place. But I'm not sure what our Liberians or electors consider that either.
Well, but you do know, Alphonso, we have a 37-40% adult literacy rate in this country. So you have more than half the population who are not educated. They cannot read or write their own names. And so when you look at the statistics and the just in terms of persuasion and people who are uneducated are easily persuaded, right, in one direction than the other. People who are educated and are accustomed to not accepting anything that they were told, except it was backed by facts and research information. You have to have adequate sort of understanding before you can accept certain things. And so when you talk about debates not being important in Liberia, you have more than half the population that cannot read or write. So all they're going to believe, they're easier to persuade, right? To tell this is blue and they will accept it. This is green. And this is no insult to our country. This is a beautiful country. This is an amazing people with some of the most incredible people. But our people have been cheated out of the fact they've been kept in the darkness because they cannot read or write their own names. And that is the greatest failure any government that came previously have contributed to this country. We have got to advance. We got to increase the number of literacy rate in this country. You have countries like Ghana with a 76% adult literacy rate, and you have Liberia with a 37% adult literacy rate. You see the gap there? It hurts the economy. People don't look out. They don't understand the arguments behind what we're talking about. When I say education is important, compulsory education is important, people are like, why is it important? All I want to do is to eat right now. All I want to do is just a few dollars to go eat tomorrow. So with the high number of illiteracy rate, where this country is just rolling for disaster. We have got to stop that vicious cycle and turn it around by making education mandatory for all children. So by the time they're 18, they can read and write. They're ready to move on to higher education or a trade, to prepare themselves for the responsibility and the duty that just ahead of them. Because by the time you're 25, you're getting married and you're having children. If you can't read and write, who's going to give you a job? How are you going to sustain your family? And so these are some of the things that when I talk about education. And another twist to this, my push for education, Alphonso, is that when people are not educated, you have two books that governs our lives. And I don't want to sound too much like a philosopher, so just stay with me on this. You have two books that governs our lives. You have first your religious book. So if you're Christian, it's the Bible. If you're Muslim, it's the Quran. You have, if you can't read and write, how are you supposed to understand your religious laws? Now, that's the first thing. The second book that governs your life is your national constitution. If you cannot read and write as a citizen, how are you supposed to understand your rights and the laws of the land? And so you understand why people driving, even though they don't have driver's license, they're driving. Because they don't understand there's a law in the book that says in order to sit behind the driver's seat or wheels of the car, you have to have a driver's license. But there are people driving Liberia without a driver's license. So when you don't, with the high numbers of illiteracy rate, the laws are not understood. They're not accepted. They're not adopted. And anyway, we live in a culture of impunity today because of the high level of illiteracy rate in our country. So it's a two-edged sword.
Okay, I'm going to be bringing in our analysts. They have listened extensively to Professor R.C.C. Labozawolo. Is total of the CDC-led government. We have our foreign affairs analyst, Leo Johnson, is the CEO and director of Empowerment Square, president of the Liberian community in Canada. They're going to be here. Before I could break down here, let me just bust the egg. Are you part of the collaboration party? Where do you stand with the collaboration? We have the Rainbow, 11 political parties together. Yeah. We have this CPP4 collaborative, a new one just being born again. There's no, who knows, more should be. Where do you stand? I want to bring in my analyst, and we're going to have this roundtable right now in the debate.
Well, we're pretty independent at the moment. We have not joined any collaboration yet. We're still in consultation. We're talking, but nothing has come to fruition yet. So as of now, we're independent. So there are about 26 registered political parties. You have 3 collaborations, and you have maybe 2 or 3 independent parties around.
Okay,
and we happen to be one of them.
The conversation gets underway right now. Okay, folks, I'm in conversation for the first time. The former presidential candidate, CEO and founder of a movement for One Liberia, for the first time appearance on the Liberia Public Radio, Madam MacDella Mackie Cooper is my special guest. Let me bring in Mr. Leo Johnson, is our foreign affairs analyst based in Canada. You right here, CEO of the Empowerment Square, a young progressive Liberian, and of course, Professor R.C.C. Labozawolo is a strong supporter of the ruling establishment, CDC, based in Baltimore, USA, right here. And our own liberal progressive, a Liberty Party supporter, Samson Bloku Branto is based in Saxton, that's Sacramento, California, Studio B of the Liberia Public Radio. There you see him. Okay. Gentlemen, I think this Sunday dinner is awesome. We have someone here with us. You are listening extensively. Leo, Professor Zawolo. Professor, can you pop your camera up? Okay, great. Good. Okay, so, yeah, it's hard. I believe you and Leo will form an independent here because he doesn't believe in the party systems in Liberia. The systems are not working, but I'm not sure why it is, how long that your independence will last. We're going to see that. Okay, gentlemen, Professor, welcome. Leo, welcome. The Liberal Progressive, welcome. Sansanto is Liberty Partisan. There's a complete inclusions on this network representation to hear from the voice background. But before they come in here, Professor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Leo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Progressive.
Thank you. I'm here.
Okay, good. All right, let's get the ball rolling. Madam Cooper, the president is taking a tour on a nationwide tour, and the CDC or the coalition government has been arguing pretty well some of these ideas that you're talking about. That's what we are hearing they are doing. Are you on course with them?
Well, is there a tour or is there a campaign for 2023? Which one are you calling it? By the
Well, are
way,
you?
Leo, how are you? It's good to see you.
Doing very well, MacDella. It's been a while. Good to see you as well.
Yeah, you too.
What are you a
And to the
politician?
rest of the gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Samson and
Thank
Professor.
you. Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah. So you
Good.
put it in context.
Yes,
Is
go
that?
ahead, Alphonso.
Yeah, put it in context for me. You asked a rhetorical question here. What is a campaign or whatever? How you consider that? What do you think it is?
Well,
The
I think
president
it's overdue. I think the president, it was a smart idea for the president to move around the country and say thank you to the people who voted for him. So I think in that context, I think it's a good idea. I think we all owe it to the people who vote for us to say thank you. But I'm not sure exactly the agenda, whether it's thank you or is it a campaign? It seems more to me like a campaign initiative. So that's just my position on it.
Or probably kind of shellacking the experience from the midterm here. Is that a quick recovery? You think perhaps he's trying to do a run?
Well, absolutely. I think the midterm election was a wake up call for the ruling establishment. And I think it just it encouraged them to go back and say thank you to the people who put them there.
Okay. I see the smiles coming on from the professor. I'm not sure whether it's natural because he's a high cost edition here. Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Good evening, Ms. Cooper, and thanks for
Good evening, Prof.
work. I am elated. Yeah, I'm elated by the work you do. I am also involved with education, and you are quite correct. The future of our country depends on educating the young people. So thank you for what you do, and I've been following your work, and I guess my heart's up to you. Hopefully, when I'm in Liberia, I will, make a stop over and see some of the things you're doing and see how we can share. When it comes
Absolutely.
to thank you very much. Yeah, I think Ms. Cooper here today has been very clear. She's very well articulated on many of the issues here. There's not much of a disagreement with what she said here, except for when it comes to the president on the campaign tour. President Weah does not need to campaign in the area he's going. President Weah has been at home for the last couple of days. He's still among the people who love him the most. He doesn't need to campaign with them. He will win those areas hands down. When it comes to thinking that the thought that the midterm election kind of like woke us up, well, that's normal. Every political institution must take stock of how to do in any kind of race. And so obviously the CDC is taking stock of what happened, and we're going to make amends. We're going to make some changes. We're going to do the right things that we need to do. You see, one of the things I would just say quickly, look, the ball, our eyes have never been off the ball. It's just that our country has competing priorities. And as we gauge those competing priorities, we're going to have certain sectors of our population feel left out. So we'll continue to do those things. I think the president is not on a campaign tour because he really doesn't need to do it. The political agenda as espoused by this government had as one of his pillars agriculture. The president started his tour with an agricultural fair in Bond County, and he just rolled on with that idea to the Southeast. So it's more about getting back to what he promised the people to do and not about campaigning. I just want to just end here by quickly saying that this tour has been delayed, not by subjective reasons, but by objective circumstances. You understand that when the government took over, the previous government to leave a very sound economic footing compelled the president to address the issue of the worsening economy. And so for the first year and a half, those issues had to be addressed. Once those issues were addressed, Mr. Toll, let me finish. Once those issues were addressed, the president had planned to start his tour, I think, on March 4th. It was supposed to be started in Mackie County. I was in Liberia for that. And he couldn't go on it owing to the outbreak of the coronavirus and the crisis of the gasoline situation in Monrovia. So he's not on a campaign tour. No. He's just doing what he had planned to do long time. And he wouldn't campaign in the Southeast. He doesn't have to campaign, especially in the Southeast. He really doesn't have to do it.
Okay. In the interest of fairness, let me get to Madam Cooper quickly here because I know a lot of things running through here. Look, Madam, this sort of statements of political correctness, this is the narrative being hearing this read on, we are getting there, we're doing this here. Are you buying into that? Madam Coco?
Well, I think. Well, here's my position on the subject. I had a privilege to talk to the finance minister on several occasions, and he always, would use those words that we inherited a bad economy. We inherited a bad economy, and I said, well, that's why you're elected into power, to find a solution to the bad economy that you inherited. And so, where is the solution that you're offering the Liberian people? The people didn't vote you into power to complain about the previous administration style of, creating whatever economic plan they created. It was for you now to come up with a new plan, which, besides the IMF plan, I haven't seen any other plan yet. So I'm still yet to hear about look, I read a proposed agenda for prosperity. And again, look, Professor, you are an educator, and I think you can read through the lines. If you were the one who crafted that proposed agenda for prosperity, to me, it's a copy and paste from it's definitely a copy and paste without a sustainable solution to any of the problems listed in there. And so I like to see problems identified, but I also want to see a solution offered. And I think that's one thing this administration has failed massively to do. And the complaints from the previous administration, we're not buying anymore. I think we just heard the State of the Nation address. And again, there was all these fabricated sort of accomplishments, which were not accomplishments, because I live here. I'm here all the time. I go to the maximum I can leave my family is 10 days. And so I'm here. I'm living with the people. We're offering a solution. And I'm yet to see a lot of what was said in the State of the Nation address be a reality on the ground. It's not a reality. But this is why I think, because we have such a high adult illiteracy rate, I think maybe there's a general consensus that we are all illiterate. And I'm not illiterate. I had 4 years spent in a university in the university in America, and I graduated with great marks and got a corporate job. So I hate when people play on my intelligence. And I think sometimes everyone's intelligence is played on.
Okay, I'm gonna get this brought to Leah, because Samson, the liberal laughter there, he is a liberty. So I'm not sure that laughter is in the context of being an opposition buy into what Madam Cooper is saying here. But let me try to neutralize here and go to Leo.
Yeah, thank you. Again, good to see you, MacDella. And congratulations for a lot of the work you've been doing in Liberia. We've all been following, whether from afar or when we're in Liberia itself. So thank you. I just want to state for the record that my entire lifetime, I haven't seen any government that didn't say they inherited a bad economy, as if they didn't know the job they were signing up for. My entire lifetime. So I don't know why does that statement even warrant any attention. I don't know why people even use it, because you sign up for a job, you knew the job, you took on the job. That's no excuse. Whether it was bad or good, you say you can fix it, so you take it on. But I just have I have a few things I want to draw in on here, MacDella, and one of it is the fact that clearly our country is at a place where we cannot continue from where we stopped before the war. There were a lot of erroneous things before the war. As much as people like to reference that Liberia had a great economy and all that stuff, we agree. But let's be honest, it was 10 to 20% of the country that was reaping everything else at the detriment of majority of the country, now that we've seen what it looked like. And we can go back to that. We need a whole new vision. And part of my concern is what we call education. The fact that we've equated westernized, regimented academic classroom engagement as education, and we've accepted it in our country, is a problem for me, because that is a part of education. That is not education in its holistic sense. And for me, our country, where we are, is not set up for that regimented exercise where everybody has to go to grade school, everybody has to graduate from grade school, go to college or go to university, and then you're recognized as being educated. Second of all, literacy is not education either, because a lot of people have equated literacy to mean when you are not literate, then you are uneducated. And when you are literate, then you are educated. No, you can be literate and be very uneducated. You can be illiterate and be very educated as well. And Liberia, we're struggling because we haven't found what the definition of education is as is contextual to Liberia. So what we are looking at is we are learning all kinds of westernized economics, you name it, all the subjects, and then we try to implement it. It's like putting square pegs in round holes, because our society itself, the underlying foundation of our society, does not support it. The next thing, and I would like to hear your feedback on that. And for me personally, I don't believe continuing down this trend is going to yield the results. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is not going. We see it. Our scholars and educated people come in the West, they thrive. They do excellent. They go to Liberia, they look like zombies. They can figure out simple things that we should actually be doing. The next thing I would like to hear your feedback on is those are coming from the background of being philanthropists into politics, right? I am a bit concerned as to what is the standard of transparency in Liberia. Because I've often said, if you want to be president of Liberia or a politician in Liberia, you are asking us to entrust you with our nation's resources, with everything else that comes with it. Are we holding political parties to the standard and foundations and philanthropic organizations to the standards? Are we requiring them to produce audited financials annually? Are we requiring them to open their books for us to see where their sources of funding come from? How do they manage their funding? Do they do it prudently? Are we doing the same with political parties? Our law said we cannot have foreign funding in our elections, for example. How do we know that? Where's the funding coming from? How is it spent? So I would like to hear your feedback on what is the quality of standard that is being used as we look at the whole landscape.
Okay, so Madam Kopo, let me just hold you right there while you try to process that question. I don't want this liberal here to say that I making like a spectators. We allow people to participate. The liberal progressive.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. So very.
There was a big burst out of laughter here. I don't know the authenticity of that laughter when Madam Kopo said copy and paste. It's like, oh, this is what I wanted to get out there already. She have done that, so she has made it live. He said, "Well, you want to share with her why you are what that?"
Mr. So, before I go on to what I want to say, first of all, I want to welcome the Madam on Liberian Public Radio. It's wonderful to have a Liberian lady. To be this strong, to be honest with you. From the beginning, you heard the stories she gave us, and if it has been many other Liberians, and some of them might not be able to survive. But for us to go through all of these things, and now it's pretty much dominating the main culture and the political culture in Liberia. I'm very glad, and I have daughters here myself. To be honest with you, and I really appreciate to see a strong lady standing among these Liberian political leaders considering themselves only men-dominated culture. Far from it, and we say false. And this lady is telling us tonight again, it's false. So many of the young ladies that are listening, even here in the United States that are studying, you look at a young lady like they will come and give you a background. This lady is not too far from Grangie there. In fact, before they went on their own, they used to be Grangie there. So she's part of us.
Yeah.
So I'm claiming her if I don't mind.
Yeah, good. See, try to phone
Hold on, Mr. So,
please.
Mr. So, please.
Always looking for family members. We are talking.
It doesn't matter. I have the right to do that. You can't question that. But anyhow, let me just say this. Thank you, Madam, for telling us again what I've been saying in the last 5 months. We have the pro-poor agenda here. And if you look at those who wrote this pro-poor agenda, many of them are from the other political party. CDC party didn't write this thing. They couldn't have, because this thing is too heavy for them. There's no way they can use it. And I've been saying that. And basically what she's told you, that's why I was laughing when she said copy and paste. That's exactly the CDC, as far as I'm concerned, they're very educated. I'm not questioning it. But in the room, Samuel Twating, he's educated more than every one of them. And so he's very condescending in how he applies his knowledge. When he's talking to people, he thinks he's better than everybody else. And this is what, listen to the professor. Let me just read something he said here. These people will not learn, and they will be flocked again. Let me just say it. He said, this is what he said, competitive priorities. Who's in control of that? Why is the priority should be competitive? You don't know what Liberian people want? You don't know what we want? We who from the countryside, you don't know what we want? That now a priority, they're competing against each other. And listen to what the others, the issues needed to be addressed. You didn't know that one before you come to power? Professor, please spare me.
I think you're making more noise than
So, Professor, I want to come to you. Leo asked a question here. Let me go to our special guest here, Madam Kopo to address yourself to that question, and then I will throw in something, and then Professor, you can respond to that. Yeah, I believe you heard the questions of Leo. At least we give you enough time
Yes.
to process that. Yeah. So, do you have an open
Well,
book?
To Leo's questions, first about the education, Liberia is trying to figure out its own self-definition of what education should be and what it should mean. You know, listen, my level of success came when I went to the United States. I quickly adjusted myself to be competitive in the American market. And I didn't have another option. I didn't have another country to self-compare notes with, to say, okay, after I graduate or after, like, if I get my education, I'm going to go to this country to work. I knew I was going to be working in the United States until I return home. And when I worked in New York, you know, New York is a crossroads for the rest of the world. And I saw everybody from different countries come to New York, and the United Nations was right just behind my apartment building. And so I saw everyone come to New York to compete, and everyone was there just to make money. It didn't matter what your last name was, who you were, where you come from. We were all just in New York making money. That's all we care about at the end of the day. And so I was able to compete in the market, and that's how I became successful, and I was able to make something of myself. And so I don't know of another way to educate to fit in the global economy or geopolitics. It's all the same thing. You got to know how to read and write the laws of every land that you choose to live in, so you're not mistaken for a lawbreaker, and then you get in trouble with the law. And so in terms of defining Liberia's own way of education, I think at this point, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to contribute to that particular conversation. I just know there's a global economy I need to compete with and fit in, and not try to be an island. So I'm not going to try to change things now. However way I can get Liberians who will be leading this country tomorrow after we are dead and gone to be able to compete in that world, because that's my thing. Look, when you don't have your own finances, if you can't make money, no one cares about what language you speak. And that was the rude awakening for me in New York. You know, when I came home and people care so much about names. Listen, I didn't care about the name because the name did nothing for me in America. It did absolutely nothing for me. People ask me, what Cooper are you? I said, me, I know my papa from Boncante. Me, I even know which Cooper he is. Or what, you know, I know he's from Mannequin for sure. Mannequin. So for me, it doesn't matter to me, right? But I got to fit in the global economy. I got to compete in the global economy. I got to make sure I understand and I speak the lingo of geopolitics. That's for me, that's simple as that. Because as you know, we're a country that depends on aid. And so until we can change the dichotomy, which we can change the dichotomy of that. I think we need to continue to educate ourselves to speak the same lingo as those who run the world's economy. And we need to make sure we understand tradition of the world's economy. And I'm sorry, what do you will you mind? Sorry about that. My kid is trying to come into the cameras here.
That's okay.
Thank you. And so, Leo, I don't think Liberia should focus so much on the individual education, because you're absolutely right. Being literate doesn't mean you're educated, but at the same time, being illiterate means you have no starting point. You have zero starting point, and the focus should be, let's make some money. Let's keep our beautiful tradition. Let's make sure we have our uniqueness in our tradition, our culture. But at the end of the day, we need to make some money. We need to make some money. And so when we are not making money, people cannot live the best quality of life that, you know, they could potentially have. And we see this all around Liberia right now. Every time I go out, when I say hello to someone, I see poverty. And I cannot walk away as a humanitarian and not address that level of poverty. I will just say this really quickly as an example. Yesterday morning, I woke up. I had gone to one community and I walked on this bridge to get to the building I was going to. And this bridge was dangerous. It was one plywood or plank that was just put down as a bridge. And I said to my staff, look, how can this community, two major community, have this little plank as a connector? Let's go back to that community and let's build a proper bridge for them. And we did yesterday. It literally took us a few hours. We built a bridge and I spent $250 United States dollars. Simple solution to a problem that is two communities were having. And so I want to focus on those things to give people a better quality of life. so that we can compete in the world. And so that's I think that would be the education that we must have and we must give to our young people. Whether you speak Grebo, Gio, Pele, Krukran, you know, we must speak. We can speak that amongst ourselves, but we must be able to speak with Wall Street, because this is where the money is made on Wall Street. And the decisions are being made in Washington or in Geneva or in the United Nations headquarters. We must be able to go there and negotiate on behalf of our country. And so those are my two concerns.
Okay, but Leo, they asked a question too about what these philanthropics. Are you guys, your organizations, your books open transparency is part of that? Because we had this sort of conversation here before. Okay, people that are doing their business, they are not accountable to people. But here you are seeking public office, and in order for us to see, some sort of good governance is one of the things that you've been pushing for. Do you have that sort of open books to accountable to people that you work for and people that gave to you?
Absolutely. I started my work in the United States when I was granted a 501c3. We were told that every year we have to file our taxes, and so we still do, because there's still a branch of the MacDella Cooper Foundation in the United States, and they have to report to the IRS every year. And even to anyone who might contribute, whether they contribute $100, we still have to give accountability as to how that dollar was spent. Now you have a MCF Liberia, but there is no branch, besides paying taxes to the LRA, there is no branch of government that actually, compels us to open our books to show them how funds are being spent. So look, if it doesn't exist, I'm not going to build it, right? But accountability is critical. And if elected, one of the things I want to do is to audit the previous administration and make known to the public what was inherited. And so when I'm getting out of my administration and handing over to the next person, I would like to say what I brought, to disclose what I brought in from what I inherited. I think this is critical. I think transparency is critical. Decisions being made on national budgets or resources that belongs to the nation should be disclosed and discussed with the communities as to what's being done with their money. I think this secretive thing it's again, people don't know their rights. So people don't know that they have to demand from the leadership what the county funds, the county development funds, or the community development funds are being used for. People come back and pretend they're doing charity, and that's our national money they're using to build market houses. That's our money they're using to build roads, but they pretend like they're doing charity for people when they're using our own money. And for again, they can only get those individuals who are illiterate and cannot question what they're doing. But again, that's the mass of the masses. Samson, I think I'm making you too happy in this conversation.
Yeah,
your reaction.
I just had a quick follow-up.
Oh my goodness! Just like you were reading my mind, because I saw something like, oh, this is my.
I can see his body movement.
I just had a quick follow-up on the education piece again.
Sure.
So just to contextualize it a little bit, Liberia is at a place where I don't think we need to compete with anybody else except ourselves. Let's be honest. 80%
we don't have the money, Leo.
No, but let's put it this way. 80% of our kids living outside of urban areas and families would never travel outside of Liberia to go anywhere. They are going to feed themselves. Nobody's going to give them money to survive. They are going to live on the land. They are going to feed themselves from their farms. So where is their space in this world of education that is Eurocentric, rigid academic? So as a result of that, we are creating immense poverty in 75% of the country and creating so much power. Even the ones that go to school academically are languaging in Liberia because we are teaching them, educating them in things that we got no way to get them for. So I agree with global competition. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very strong point. That's absolutely right. But let's be honest, to be able to compete, you got to be fed first. If you're hungry, you can't even plant rice in your own country with arable land to feed yourself. How are we going to be able to compete with our regional partners and other areas? So we find ourselves as beggars because we're not able to do anything with what we've got because nobody is educating us in what to do with it.
Well, Leo, and this is part of government's responsibility. Government has to present investment in the rural as well as the urban areas. And if government cannot allocate budgets for agricultural development, look, you can have all these kids educating themselves in the rural area, which I do agree with you that there's a massive and strong need for education, local education, to be able to work on the fields. But as I said in the United Nations a few years back, when the conversation about getting the young people back on the farm, there was this grandiose conversation being held in the United Nations as to what the method is that should be used to move the young people back on the farm. And I said to them in the United Nations, listen, guys, let's not kid ourselves. I know very well young Africans, and young Africans today are very much like white, Europeans or Americans. They're not going to go in the farm to dig holes in the hot, scorching sun. They want to push buttons. So if we can combine technology with agriculture, we will have a better chance at getting young people back on the farm. And that is the conversation we're realistically having today. Without the implementation of technology, there's not one young African that's going to go on a farm to go do what their grandparents did and dig a hole in this hot, scorching sun to plant a few trees. And so, again, it goes back to that universal education. Look, there's a dirty word I want to say here. It's like the New World Order. If you're not a part of it, you're outside of it, and you can't function or survive. It's one of those theories, similar theories I'm sort of preaching here.
Okay, I think the professor.
Yeah. The first thing I wanted to go back to one of the questions that Leo asked Ms. Cooper. Ms. Cooper, do you think? You indicated that there's no law on the books that controls or manage, regulate NGOs in Liberia. But do you think you are obligated in any way to the public in Liberia to share with them, opening your books and being very transparent with what you do? Do you think you have any obligation to the people?
Absolutely. I'm totally okay with that.
Have you done that? Have you tried to be very transparent?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have.
Okay, good. So you think the public had the right to ask you to open your books? Do you think so?
Absolutely. Just as much as I have the right to ask the government to open their books, the same way the public has the right. But again, I'm a private individual, so it's I run a private institution. I'm okay to disclose everything I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm involved with an NGO too. I don't think I owe any Liberian person any explanation to what to do. That's where we disagree anyway. But let me, Mr. So you want to come in?
No, go ahead. Then I'll go to the Liberal.
I wanted to come in on other things. I think I understand Leo's perspective on the issue of education. There's a misconception when it comes to what people understanding of education is, and it's serious. Because I don't think my grandmother, who never spoke English, was uneducated. I don't think so. I think she was not educated. I think she could decipher who she could vote for in the elections. I think there are several reasons why we have some of the challenges we have in our country. I don't support debate in the way we have it in Liberia. I don't support it. But I would love to have a debate where people will even be allowed to speak in Kru, in Pele, in Basa. It will be translated so that people will hear it. Because I think our people, it's an insult to our people to say that because they don't have this Western style education, they are somehow limited in deciding on the political direction of the country. I think that's unfair. I think that's an insult to them. Now let me come down to what had the Liberal Progressive smiling. Now I didn't come with excuses. I've never ever used excuses for this government. I would never do so. All I was saying was we have to be objective. We have to present the fact. The fact of the matter is that, yes, when we were elected, we knew that we were going to inherit a difficult situation. The extent and level of difficulty, I don't think we had a full understanding of it. And so, as anyone would do, you need to address the emerging problems of the people first before you go and do some other things. You can recall when this government took over, payment of salary was a problem. How would you have had a nationwide tour when you had people couldn't take pay? That was totally impossible. So this government had to work with the IMF and the other international monetary organizations to kind of like stabilize the economy. And once that was done, the president had planned to visit the country. I was in Monrovia. I know he was supposed to visit Mackie for the first time and he didn't do it. So it's not excuses. I'm only trying to bring forth some of the objective circumstances that prevented the president from doing what he was supposed to do. Now, so let me just establish that and then give the other chance to talk. I have more to talk about, but I intend to be up until 6 o'clock. So let me rest and give other people a chance to talk.
Okay. Let me jump in here quickly, Madam Copot. Let me just admit here, because I had the privilege to talk to a lot of the female, especially the female candidates that contested in the last time around. But when politicians are talking to, I also listen to some sort of signal. If I'm elected, if I have the opportunity to be elected, I will audit the government. That simply suggests to me that nothing is still off the table. But before you address that, it is amazing your overwhelming support. I've privileged to interview more than 5 of the females candidates that participated in the last time, and all that we're hearing was MacDella Copper help us for our pool washer to even meet up with our registration. And then I'm wondering, I don't want to sound ridiculous here, but that's part of my job. We need to hold people accountable, because there are other people who sit back and wait and like to get the glory. And the prominent Liberians, like Lima Bowie, the Laureate Prize winner. I'm not sure what she's in Liberia, but in Ghana during the heat of all of this. So, what next for you? 2023 is at stake. There will be a lot of seats opening, and your quest to see women to be fully engaged, to participate, to be part of decisions and policy maker, as young person like you, is quite amazing. And your name kept popping up. So, and Liberia again is another country on planet Earth that sometimes her decisions, electoral decision making, is hard to question, because I don't know what else they want to see in people who can really deliver. Just from this conversation this evening, I seem to gather a lot of good things, but the electoral decisions is different. What is it lacking? What is the message? What is not resonating with the Liberian people? Are you only focused on presidency? You have senatorial, you have representative. Those are other branches of government that who's the executive branch of government responsible. Where will your position be? And I do not want no any politics dancing around here this evening, Madam Cooper, if you will. What will be your position comes 2023? Any decision?
Well, Alphonso, at this moment, it's a bit too early to call, but I definitely will be participating in the next election for sure. And as usual, I participated in the last. Sorry?
In what context?
Well, it depends. We're still doing a national survey to sort of see our chances with the different positions, and so we're surveying on the presidency. We're surveying on other options, but we will see where we stand with regards to the presidency. Look, if things were okay, if professors, people were doing well, there's no need to go and disrupt that. But unfortunately, things are now going in a direction that we all hope it should be going in, and so there's a void. There's a need for others to come in and compete for the position. And so I think I'm also one of those who will be vying for the position. But again, it will be after my national survey to see what my potentials are. You don't want to just jump in it for the sake of jumping into it. But I will tell you, in 2023, there will be 3 major elections happening. You have the 73 representative seats will be vacant. You have 15 senatorial seats that will be vacant, as well as the presidency. And of course, the incumbent will be vying for re-election. And so the competition is huge. But let me go back to 2020's election, midterm senatorial election. As of now, today is the 28th of February, which is sort of the last day of the month. We have yet to get the announcements on about 9 candidates out of 15. This 2020 election was a disaster. The election commissions, even the referendum has not been announced. I've never seen such a mess since 2005. And I think it's a poor reflection on the appointment to the National Election Commission. I think Deviator, she came in and everyone had concerns about her ability to lead the commission. And she is really in a vulnerable position right now. Nothing is being done. Deviator is vulnerable. The election commission is vulnerable because, again, they don't understand that they're not here to work at the beck and call of the one who gave them the position. They have their rights to stand as an institution, independent institution, but I don't know if they know that. They're not behaving like it. And so they're taking marching orders from the executive branch, what it seems to be 15 candidates, or 15 positions, I should say. And today, last day of February, we still don't have results for a lot of the counties. There are lawsuits. There are 2 women who are major players in elections. They're going to the Supreme Court because the NEC, again, are not functioning the way an election house should function. And you can only imagine with this said, the level of disaster we're going to experience where you have 73 representatives vying for their seats. You have 15 candidates going for, it'll be more, of course, but I'm just saying the actual seats, occupants. And you have a presidential election. It's going to be a disaster. And we have to be very careful as a nation, because if we're not careful now and demand that the election commission plays its role independently and not be controlled by the executive branch, again, no one's going to get their announcement at the end of the day. Sorry.
Let me correct you quickly. I agree with you, Ms. Cooper. I think Mr. Sue and the other folks here will agree with me. I indicated on day one that Ms. Brown was extremely incompetent. I don't think the issue with the election commission has to do with undue pressure from the executive. I think it has to do more with incompetence. I think we Liberians, we should push forward. We should push hard on those people to step down. Being a person who's associated with the CDC, I would definitely drop my membership of the CDC if I were to find out that the executive is putting undue pressure on the election commission. I don't think that's the case.
They were appointed by the CDC government.
Yeah, it was appointed by the CDC government. I agree with you. And I, as a seditian, I feel embarrassed by those appointments. I definitely feel embarrassed by those.
That's true. One second, Leo. That's a true confession there from by the professor.
But that's not the first time I said this. I said
it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, to be honest, he has found from day one here. Let me bring in the Liberia here. The Liberia, before Leo comes in. The Liberia, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm not too sure what's going on with me, but I have a question for the madam. First, again, thank you very much. I think I wish we have the opportunity to have you on here as many times as possible, not only just on this platform, but many Liberian diaspora platform will invite you to educate us, and I think that's exactly what you're doing here tonight, and I really appreciate it, to be honest with you.
Oh my goodness, the Liberal, what's going on with you?
No, he forgot we for the stuff.
Okay, when he fixes up, okay, let me bring in Leo here. In the meantime, the Liberal is struggling. Maybe Liberty Party set in need resuscitation, resuscitation too. So maybe he is a need to.
Yeah. I just want to ask MacDella. Maybe this would be my final question for the evening. I hear Liberian politicians and even the ruling party and everybody trying to practice voodoo economics in Liberia, and keep telling us that with about $570 million that they can build roads and build hospitals and build schools, and if you divide about 5 million people, it's about $100 per person annually. That is voodoo economics.
Absolutely.
I am of the strongest opinion that it is impossible for, even if you dump $570 million into healthcare entirely, you might only be successful in scratching the surface of what really needs to be in there to get things going. So I want to hear MacDella's feedback on this in terms of the Liberian government actual revenue or budget itself, some of your ideas on what needs to be done, because I can see how any president period can be successful with $570 million budget to confront the entrenched problems that we are faced with in Liberia.
The competing priorities.
Well, listen, the $500 million you're referring to, Leo, it's for a vast majority, by 80% or so. Again, don't quote me on that number, but it's just the estimate. It's being used to provide salaries and resources for officials. Now, when you are new into government, one of the things you do, you have a NIC, or National Investment Commission. When it comes to investing all of the sectors across the board, you could potentially bring in additional investment resources like building of roads and all those additional things that the government has the responsibility to handle. You can bring in partners, investment partners, and you cannot just depend on this $500 million, which is nothing. And you're absolutely right, it's absolutely nothing. The education ministry is supposed to be getting about $60 million, and they're barely getting $10 million annually. The agriculture ministry is receiving about $2.5 million annually, and that's nothing to run an agriculture ministry. So when you look at the margins, right, as to what's being allocated in the different sectors, now you can supplement by bringing in investors. Now, how many people have reached out to me from across the world that says to me, MacDella, we want to come to Liberia, want to help build your healthcare sector. We want to come in and help with agriculture. We want to invest in education. But those things, even in hotels and tourism and fishery, like there are so many people who reach out that want to work and connect with and invest in our government projects. So you don't have to depend on the 500 million. Of course, you have to take care of the salaries and resources for your workers. And if you can manage to do that and bring in investors. And that is why I kept repeating over and over that the investment commission needs to get off their derrieres and they need to host an investment conference. I was happy to hear that the embassy in Washington is trying to host an investment conference, but we need to host an investment conference on the ground here in Liberia, irrespective of the pandemic. I think there's still a lot that can be done virtually. We're having this conversation now, an investment conference forum can be had virtually. Just any way to get more people in here, cut out some of the red tapes of doing business in Liberia. You have these ministerial councils, the ministerial council and the sub-council, and all these people that has to be taken care of. It turns investments and investors off. Liberia is a very small market. It's a high risk, of course, but there are so many high risk investors across the world. And so I have a slew of friends across the world that would love to come to our sector and work with us. But unfortunately, and Professor, don't take any offense to this, but unfortunately, this administration does not seem to understand that we need to attract investors to this market. And not investors that are willing to come and give under the tables, but let's just have investors that come in and do business. Just ordinary business. And so when it comes to 500 million, we all know it's absolutely nothing, but it keeps us afloat if it's not mismanaged. And I think, of course, that 500 million is being mismanaged in so many ways. We don't have the number of hours to sit on this show and discuss how it's being mismanaged.
Yeah, let me come in. Mr. Sue, let me come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think this government is ahead when it comes to understanding the issues of the inadequacy of the present budget envelope of 500 million. I think we are fully aware of it, and I think we are ahead. Look, let's face the fact. The previous administration tried to bring in investors into the country. Who did they attract? The Metalsi.
Professor, I hate to do this here. The issue of this previous administration.
No, let me finish. I'm not
still talking on this.
I'm not making an extenuation. I'm trying to tell you the kind of investors they were able to attract to the country. I'm telling you the kind of investors were able to attract to the country. The kind of investors were able to attract to the country, like some of the ones that people just talk about, are those kind of investors who are going to, come and take these high rates, enter these high rates environments. And
Metalsi was already here when this administration came in. When the LA administration came in, they were already here. They just renegotiated the contract.
Renegotiated. Okay, fine. Yeah. Those are the kind of people that they can attract. Now, for those kind of investors, you think about what's going on. What's going on in our minds. Think of what's happening there. Think that's a China Union also investment contract or so concession. Think of what's going on there. Those are not the kind of investors we need to attract to our country. So that's what this government is doing. In order to be able to attract the kind of investor that will move our country forward, we need to address some of the major constraints that we have. The issue of electricity, the issue of road connectivity, all those issues have to be addressed in order to be able to attract the kind of investor we used to attract in the 70s, in the 60s, or in the early 80s. I mean, in the absence of those things, you are not going to be getting the kind of investor that will move your country forward. The second thing I wanted to say is that this government also is more interested in local investors than foreign investors. I don't think transnational corporations will I mean, can be the fulcrum of any kind of modern economy, will not serve the interest of the local people. I don't see how the president comes in with $100 billion and takes up $200 million. I don't see how much of a positive impact it can have on the local economy. So this government, this administration is doing some of those things. We are trying to build the road. We are trying to improve electricity connectivity.
So let me ask you, Professor, and I know probably you don't want me to go that route. When we hear we are doing this, we are trying, this is
I didn't say we're trying.
we are in the middle of the term now.
So yeah, but that's what the problems are in numbers. Like I indicated, and Ms. Cooper just alluded to it, and Leo even alluded to it, even though people don't want to hear about competing priorities. Look, there are so many competing priorities in our country, and with that $500 million budget envelope, we just can address all of those things. So solving the problems our country face requires time, and we are not sitting down. This government not sitting down.
Is the government that you support, are they having some sort of contingency plan, knowing fully what we are saying they are not addressing it? Are they doing enough to address it, or
they're doing more than enough? They're doing more than enough. Roads are being connected. Roads are being constructed. We're trying to improve the energy grid of the country. There's also investment in education. So $45 million educational grant that is right now running. I think I've spoken about it several times here. There's also, I think, a $60 million grant, whatever the case is, that is going to be invested into agriculture. So this government is not sitting down doing nothing. It's trying to address those problems. It requires time.
Okay, it requires time. Let me bring in a liberal then, Madam Cooper. It requires time. I see her looking. What time do we need? Do we need additional 6 years after 2023? Is that a time? Liberal?
Thank you very much. I apologize, but of course, let those people try me again.
He's not bringing a copy from Frankie.
Thank you, guys.
And Ms. Cooper always on your side, either on your left or right under you, above you. So he's giving you that protection. Thank you, Mr. Super.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me do it this way. Let me swap, since they are forming coalition and something is a little bit.
That's okay. That's okay. No, the question I wanted to ask Madam Cooper was that in as much as she's involved with the Liberian politics and what have you, the many political parties that are vying for this one position in Liberia, why are they not coming together to form one on a one roof or one-on-one umbrellas? Because the ideology is not that far away from each.
Why are you excluding yourself? Something.
Mr. So, will you let me ask my question, please? Yeah. So the question, madam, is why these people, including your own, why are you not coming together? Because you guys, it seems like your ideology is not that far apart. I think you can come together and have this little inkling of different political group that perhaps might be in line with one another. But if you do that and try to face this popular president of the Republic of Liberia, then I think we will be successful. Despite his failure in his policy, he's still popular. In fact, if you watch some of the video in the Southeast, he truly enjoys himself. He doesn't even think he's president. He really think like he's in a village enjoying himself, which that's what it's supposed to be. So he's very popular. Why are we not coming together? That's my question. Is the ideology stuff vast difference?
Not at all. Not at all. Samsung, I think it's just a matter of time. Look, what I've always said was that I don't believe in early marriage, and I don't believe in early political marriage. I established my movement for One Liberia, and I wanted us to grow our base. I wanted us to come to the table with something, so we're not looked at as not. I don't want to come across as we're coming to beg for what we need, and so it's just a matter of time. We, the oppositions, we're going to come together in every way possible, and we'll find a job for the professor because we really like him a lot. He has such an amazing personality. We'll find space for him in the opposition government.
One last question, madam, and it is the issue with the vice president, and I'm asking a question from this context, being a woman, a vice president in public, she's been ridiculed in public, being disrespected by men. What are you young ladies and intelligent ladies, smart lady, tough lady, what are you guys doing? And these men continue to do these things to our sister.
Well, it is something. It's a culture we find ourselves in. You know, one of the things that shocked me the most, and I don't want to go back to old conversation, but when the ruling establishment put out this list, right, and we have an election law that says political parties. It's actually section 4.5 that says political parties should endeavor to ensure that when submitting a list of candidates to the election commission, shall endeavor to ensure they have 30% of either gender. And so we went, as women of the country, we went to consultation, and we agreed to propose an amendment to that particular law, because political parties were saying that endeavor to ensure means you must try, but when you make it, then you must leave it alone. Yeah. And so we said, no, let's amend it so that it can say political parties shall ensure. We proposed that amendment to the legislature, and they returned and said they would not honor the word shall ensure because they don't want to hold political parties, you know, accountable. And we are fighting that at the moment. We are fighting that. I think a few weeks ago, you saw me in a Capitol building reading a joint statement about Liberia's failure to acknowledge women's political participation. And so we're fighting. We're fighting what's happening to the women in this country. The administration this current administration, or at least government, has about 20 plus ministries. And so far, only 3 women have been appointed. So in terms of appointment, women are not doing very well. In terms of elected positions, women are not doing very well. And then the laws does not want to support us in our endeavor to fully participate. And so, look, out of the 26 political parties, out of 173 years of independence, I'm the first woman in this country that had the balls big enough to start my own political party. Now, that's disheartening, because most political parties' constitution does not include women at the decision-making table. And when I read these political parties' constitution, I said, this is not where I want to be. As a woman, you get put in the women's wing, which is an auxiliary group. As a youth, you get put in the youth wing, which is an auxiliary group. You do not sit at the executive council's meeting to make decisions on behalf of the institution. So where do women opinion come in? Where do the youth opinion come in? Where do the needs, where is the address? So a lot of political parties, these 26 political parties, they all have problems. And until we can address it for the political parties level, we're going nowhere. And I don't want to brag here to say my party is the first party that includes youth at the decision-making table, or the disabled and women. We have got to go back and look. There was so much controversy in the country when I said that Liberia had failed massively. You know, this administration thought I was attacking them. I wasn't attacking them. I was just speaking the reality of what's happening in the country. The laws, our constitution, our national constitution needs amendment. Do you know that the language of the constitution currently says he, when he become this? And some folks argue to say, well, it's just a figure of speech. I said, would you want me to call you a she? They said, why would you want to do that? I said, well, look at me. I'm a strong woman. I have my own money. I have my own everything. I don't want to be called a man. Although I'm strong as a man, but I don't want to be a man. I want to be a woman, right? So call me a woman in my national constitution. And so there are many things we proposed to be amended, and it's being rejected at all levels of lawmaking. And this is the problem. And so when the vice president is being disrespected, it's not just a societal thing. It is in the laws. The laws give our people the rights to disregard women's participation at all levels, including the vice presidency, because she's not even legitimate under our laws. Ellen was never legitimate under our current constitution. And that's a whole different conversation on its own, but we're not legit according to our constitution mandate.
Okay, one last question before I turn in. So hold on, one last question. If these positions in Liberia, senator, representative, president, and all the other stuff, must you be president in order to have a larger platform? Can you not operate as a senator or representative, whereby you will be able to still have the voice and the platform that perhaps will allow you to actually carry out the kinds of work you want to do for your people?
Why, Samson, are you afraid I'm going to be the best president Liberia had besides Ellen? Is that why you're asking me to be a senator versus a president? I think I'm going to be the best president.
You see that? Now he's coming after
It's falling apart. Okay, so let me bring our onliners here. We hope to wrap it up soon so that we want to see if you can really allow time from time to time. Yeah, coming, Professor. Let me just put this question for our onliner here. This is coming from Queenie Collins. He said, what are some ways in which we can incorporate initial investments in Liberia? The lack of transparency in reporting in our national budget. What are your thoughts on this, MacDella couple?
Well, I think we have a LACC, and that's responsible for the audits and keeping government somewhat. And you have the House, of course, but again, it's a lot of agencies that are now functioning independently, and so they can't do their job. I mean, I'm not saying let me just say they can't do their job. And where they understand their role and their position because they feel they're appointed by the president, they don't ask questions. They're afraid they're going to lose their job. And I think that's one of the big problems we're having. When you pick your friends and you put them in positions, the friends don't hold you accountable. And this is what we're seeing today. Now, there are ways to bring initial investments, but if government is not willing to work with investors cannot bypass and go get a contract on their own. They have to work with the government. Transparency is something that we should demand as citizens, especially the voters who are voting people into power. We should also demand, we should know our rights. Knowing our rights is important. Most people, probably are too afraid to ask for accountability from our leadership. We start something, we don't finish it. Look at all these stimulus packages that have been sort of MIA, all these missing funds. We start the conversation, but people get afraid when they see 1, 2, 3 people disappearing. They get afraid. Everybody shuts up and turn their backs on it. And so we're going to go nowhere with it as long as we keep that culture up.
Professor?
Yeah. I wanted to come in on what Ms. Cooper was talking about when it came to unloading. I believe in strong women. I have 4 sisters, highly educated, very strong women. I have a daughter who's a very strong woman, and many people who know me know that most of my best friends are women. And so I value the role of women in society. But I will personally oppose constitutional amendment to allocate seats to women. Because I just think it violates the universal adult suffrage. It will be denying me, for example, a right to run for a seat that is allocated to a woman. And I think all people should be given equal rights. Now, having said that, at the CDC level, there are those of us who raise the red flag on our party's listing of candidates for this midterm election. And we have vowed to work to ensure that more women will be placed on our party ticket. But I don't think constitutional amendment. Because yes, one of the things, Ms. Cooper, you mentioned here that political parties have women in their women auxiliaries. And so they're now on the decision-making table. So now when we're going to begin to allocate special seats for them, it's almost picking them out of the main political table and putting them in the auxiliary. And so what happens to the other, if we allocate 34% or 40%, I mean, you understand definitely, we live in the society we're in. I don't see them making it 50-50. And that's aspirational. So in any case, going to give the men more than the women. So how do you then reconcile it? Isn't that violating the rights of the women?
Well, but Professor, here's something that most people get.
The last one I wanted to talk about was that your arguments about the use of he in the Constitution you are quite correct. I don't think we need a legislative. I don't think we need a amendment in the sense. We just need to have people rewrite the Constitution to make the amendment when it comes to those wordings. But I do agree with you. I don't think it requires some kind of legislative decision or a referendum to do so. It's just proper English. Just edit the English.
Professor, did I hear you say you're going to tinker with the Liberian Constitution without my involvement?
You can, Professor. You cannot.
Go now. You can do that. You can make corrections in the English. You can make corrections in English. If the English is wrong, you can make corrections in it.
Yes, I know that, but is that not tingling with the Liberian my constitution, Professor? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let the madam go ahead and answer your question.
No, that's not. That's not.
Okay. Can you respond to that, Madam Cooper?
Yes. First of all, a lot of people get this thing wrong, Professor. I believe it was Proposition 9 that came from the executive that proposed additional 15 seats in the Senate for women. And we were all against that because number one, we don't have the budget to sustain that. And it's just not a good idea. Now, going back to what we're asking for, it's not additional seat handed over to women. No, we have 30 senators. And what we want is the laws, the election laws that says political parties should make sure, and we went across the world, we signed several documents. Liberia has not rectified some of them. And also with the 1325 that encourages governments to, in addition to the Beijing Conference of 1995, governments should make it possible for women to fully participate. We have all these series of bills and agreements across the world, charters that we've signed and say, yes, we will do this. Some, like I said, have not been rectified, but our signatures are still affixed to them. Now we're back home in our country and we cannot enforce those laws. And that is the problem. So we are not asking for seats to be handed to us. Proposition 9 asks for seats to be created, 15 additional seats to make the Senate 45. And we said, no, we don't want 15 seats allocated for women and maybe 30 for men. That makes no sense economically for where we are today. But what we're asking for is in the election laws, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with election laws that needs to be amended. And it's been rejected. It's been rejected. Our proposal was just compel political parties that when they're submitting a list, let them make sure there's 30% of either gender. So if it's the MacDella Cooper Party, which is known to be the women's party, there should be 30% male on that list of candidates we're submitting, and give the Election Commission the power to reject a list that doesn't comply with the laws of the election. And so that's what we're asking for. It's not seats to be handed to us.
Ms. Cooper, so let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Don't you think the women within this political party could exercise that same rights? Don't you think the women within these political parties could put forth their case? Now look, the election laws require that the political parties should endeavor to ensure.
We want to move the endeavor.
I understand.
We want to move the endeavor. Yes,
I agree. I understand what you're saying. You want to move the endeavor. But what I'm saying to you, don't you think it rests upon the women to advocate for that within their own political parties? Are they doing that much to do that?
Well, the political parties' constitutions can be easily amended, but no boys' club is going to agree to amend a constitution to let women on the table. And that is what's happening.
But why women move from those political parties and maybe form alliance with you? Why are they still within those political parties that are suppressing them?
Well, there are many reasons which I don't have all the answers to, and there are variations of reasons why women are still.
Is it possible that most Liberian women don't see it as important?
No, they're becoming made aware. They're made aware of it now, and so it's becoming their light bulb. They had their light bulb moment when we addressed this with them. A lot of the women's organization, including mine, we had a sort of series of programs that told women that the reason why their names are not reaching these lists is because they are not part of the decision-making bodies of the institutions. Now, today, there are 3 female standard bearers in the country. That's MacDella Cooper, Jewel Howard Taylor, and Yummy Kanga Lawrence of Liberty Party, which is Zean's party. But in terms of an executive council or a leadership council, it's Jewel Howard Taylor and MacDella Cooper. Again, maybe I don't know what the Liberty Party current structure is, but we're the only 2 women on the executive decision-making bodies of our institutions.
Ms.
And
Cooper,
you can. Sorry,
I don't want to interrupt. Have the Liberty Party had their conventions and already elected a standard bearer? I'm not totally aware of that. No.
It's Liberty Party does have a political leader. She's not a flag bearer, but she's a political leader.
Okay, fine. Okay.
So there are 3 of us in the country at the moment. And so Jewel Howard Taylor, the current vice president, is on executive seats of the coalition for democratic change, CDC itself, the Congress does not have a woman on the executive table. And you see, this is where the discrimination starts.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
And how come you didn't have one of them on your list of candidates?
No, but you said no, that's not true. Every government official, every appointed government official who comes from the CDC is a member of the CDC executive committee. The
governance, the decision-making body. They're on the governance council.
They are on the governing council. They are on the decision-making body. Every member of the House of Representatives, every member of the legislature.
They're on the legislative caucus of the party.
No. I'm telling you, they are a member of the executive committee.
Okay, well, maybe this is a new thing. I'm going to go and dive into the CDC constitution, which I have done, and I'll come back on the show and make that correction.
Okay, we offer that.
I did dive into it.
And the last thing, I just wanted to leave. I have to leave because I got something to do. But I just wanted to tell you that our government, you provided a statistic that was not correct. I just wanted to correct it. It was a wonderful sharing with you today. I hope I can find the time to talk to you one-on-one. But this government has 5 females who are minister. 5.
Which ministries? Can you tell me which ministries?
Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Health.
Okay, that's one.
Ministry of
Agriculture,
Ministry of Commerce, and the Ministry of Public Works.
Those 2 appointments just came out. So thank you very much.
Position. Oh my goodness.
Listen to me. She's acting as a minister. She carries on the functions of a minister. Okay, take 1 off. Say 4. She said 3. So I was just trying to correct.
This is what we have in CDC. They say raining, they say pouring.
Cooper said 3.
They say move up. That's it.
All right. I got a few things here before we can let our it's getting late.
People understands what I said. She said 3. I said 5. We said it's 4. She understands. Okay. So don't get between us, man. Look, she's not going to be here next time, and I'm going to bring other people to come on you.
Okay. All right. Before we let her go, there are a few things
I have to leave. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
We will soon. It's getting late in Liberia here, but let me put this here quick here. Here. This Queenie Collins said, Mandela, thank you. I am Queenie Collins. How can I join this movement and support this movement? I believe she's making reference to your organization. So I don't know if there's any information that we can put here. Is there any contact number or something?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you call that, please?
Yeah, +231.
Okay, 231
886
886
63
63
24 63
63. Okay, folks,
that's our direct contact.
Okay, call. I will just right here. Just give me a little minute. I'm gonna put a number here for those of you that are writing on the line to join her movement. Movement for. Okay, just call this number. Okay, Queenie and other folks, this is the number. Let me just put it up here. If you want to get in contact with Madame Copot in Liberia, is 231-886-632463. Correct?
Yes, that's right, and that's a WhatsApp as well.
Okay, it's on WhatsApp, so it makes it easier if you are calling from international. We're going to be wrapping up here. After this program here, what are perfect articulations and some of your things that you have? If you were to receive a call from the president today, hey, you know what? I haven't heard all of these things yet, but now it is in the public. I want you to join this government.
Listen, I think too much damage has been done. This government they can figure it out on their own. I'm not interested in joining this government as of now. I think
it's for the good for your of the country, the very same thing that you are pushing.
Well, it's this starting point has been a rough ride already, and I think it will be difficult to join something where you don't understand the agenda. If there's a plan, there's an agenda, I will take a look at it and see what can be done. But as of this point, I'm okay where I am. I think this government has their own work cut out for them, and
So quickly, what is the alternative? You have 4 collaborative party. You have 11 Rainbow Coalition. We will have one given breath already. You have your party. What is the alternative? Do you see the CPP as alternative to the Liberian problem?
Well, the opposition is going to come together and get stronger and try to knock out this government, because we want a government that serves all people, not just partisans. As you can see, this right now is just all CDC who are benefiting from the party. I mean, from the government, and most people who are not part of CDC are left out of the equation. And that is no way for a government to come in and run a nation, the affairs of the nation. So we gotta have leadership in place and that understands they're here to run the affairs of the nation, to and make sure our agency supports all people that have Liberian citizenship, not just CDC party membership. And so we want a government that works for us. We want a government that shows interest in us, open up the country so we can all function. It's important. Otherwise, if you can't do that, we can't hold you for another 12 years. We're going to have to put somebody else in who understand that a leader is a leader for the Republic of Liberia, not a political party.
You alluded here, 3 major things at stake. Comes 2023, the presidency, and the 2, both lower and upper house of government.
That's right.
Yeah. My guess here, you are keeping close eyes. Nothing is off the table.
Nothing is off the table at the moment. We're doing some national survey to see where we stand, and we'll take we will build the collaboration with the right institutions and try just at the purpose of and the focus of making sure we have a leadership in place that will make Liberia move in the right direction, or help Liberia move in the right direction.
Have you identified that institution, that right?
Well, we are all of us in the opposition. We're working together. And there's no question asked. There's no borders. Rainbow Coalition is working with CPP. MacDella Cooper is working with CPP. We are all working together on different things. When it comes to the issues of the women, all of the political parties are supporting the initiative. When it comes to amending some of the laws, we're all working together. There is no holds bar in the opposition right now.
Your drive in the 20th, in the end, especially election, senatorial election for women, participations, inclusions in decision making. Are you taking that alone with the CPP? And if so, are they willing? Will they listen to you? And if they are not listening to you, what would be your position?
Oh, no, they're listening. We're all working on the case of Boto Cannon in Babalu County. That's all of our responsibility. Women from every political party and even some great men are also working with us to make sure this woman sticks her seat, her rightful seat. She won Babalu County. I went out to Babalu County, to the area where there was the discrepancy in the election, and we had to do a rerun of the election there. We went out there to the borders of Sierra Leone, and we witnessed and observed the election. She won the elections, and so she is the rightful senator-elect. A candidate from the CDC party filed a complaint against her that she violated her supporters violated the elections laws, and so there's investigation that's taking place, which NEC doesn't have the jurisdiction to call. It's going to the Supreme Court, and all of the opposition parties are currently raising funds to make sure we can pay the Supreme Court. And so we're all working together, hand in hand, okay. No question asked. But the women are working, and the other political parties are supporting.
Okay, what an exciting evening here. I'm quite sure your recruit for women incoming this 2023, both houses of government. I don't think that's going to come to an end that's sooner.
Yes, we're identifying candidates right now. We're asking women to come out from all. We need 73 plus, for the representative. It's going to be competitive. We need 15 candidates for the Senate, and we need, if not MacDella Cooper, we're going to try to find the right person. We need to have a leadership that will make sure our country is served, and not just the partisans.
All right. Madam Kopot, I want to thank you so much. I hope this is not going to be the last time. We're going to talk behind the scene. And we are humble here at Liberia Public Radio for being so spontaneous. One of the opposition, this guy is an opposition. I've been calling him to bring his Liberty Party people here for us to also ask them questions. He doesn't. He said, Ibra Dara's Dylan is not coming here. Nyombi Kanga Lauren is not coming here. And in the interest of fairness, just yesterday, I managed to reach out and he said, well, I'm off for it. These are people. Something. It's not funny. You don't laugh. You are laughing at Professor Zawe here. It's on you now too. And I defy you publicly to bring Nyomli Kanga Lawrence, Senator Nyomli Kanga Lawrence here. Let her to talk. Let me hear from her. I just reached her yesterday and she said, I'm off for it. That's the we look.
But have you even attempted to reach out to my the Queen of Liberty Party?
Who's the Queen?
Of course, our leader, our political leader, our daughter.
Can I end my statement? Because you here came out here and say she's not going to come here because I want to be questioning her. So, Madam, I want to thank you so much. And we highly appreciate what you do, your organization, and especially to put power to empower women. I was really deeply touched. These candidates that participated and all that was hearing, MacDella Cohort help us, give us the support, find pool washer for us, help to meet our registration to participate in the process. I mean, that's how people. So it's just not about yourself, but you also try to elevate people. And very few politicians will see moving in that direction. So I want to thank you so much for
Mr. So before she go,
to have you here.
Let me make my point as well. Madam, thank you very much. Like I said from the beginning, being a strong lady among these men actually you're more than a role model for these young Liberians, especially those of us that got daughters that are watching you guys. And thank you. I mean, I can't say more than that. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work. Even if we don't have anything to pay you, God will always guide you, because everything you're doing is for your fellow human being. It's not so much to enrich yourself. Not even so much. You're not even enriching yourself. You're giving more back than what it is that you're getting in. Except the only good thing is that you know how to talk, and you talk good. So thank you very much.
It's on you now to bring Senator Lawrence here. What's your final word before we let you go?
No, Alphonso, thank you so much for having me on the show. I look forward to more of these engagements, and same thing, all of you guys. I wish you the best of luck. And I look forward to connecting at some point soon. Okay.
All right, well, folks, that's where you have it. I want to thank you so much, and have a pleasant rest of the Sunday evening. Yeah. Okay, the Liberal.
Yes.
Okay, let's do a little bit quick brush out here. It seems she plays into your sound bite here this evening, and
that's why I don't even have to make a closing statement. She told you exactly what this government, CDC government, is all about and who they are. So I don't even have to say anything as a liberal. I have absolutely nothing to add on. She told you CDC like the copy and paste business. I've been saying it. She told you the only people that benefit from the CDC-led government is sedition. I've been saying it. And she told you that the collaborating political party are going to work together and dislodge this group of people who don't care for other Liberians. I have nothing, absolutely nothing to say but to be joyful this evening, Mr. So.
What are you joyful for now? Joyful for what?
Mr. So, because I know I have been validated. I have been now to say, yes, somebody is saying the liberal progressive, what he's been saying, these are true statements. I'm not making it up. I don't come on this platform and make up story. And when I tell you sedition are not discipline, these are, and you heard the lady. Now you have the professor coming out here trying his best this evening, trying to defend CDC, talking about CDC. No, when she named 3 ladies being in the ministry of position, he said, no, that's not true. Who did she call? The professor came by and said, no, CDC have more than that. What did he do? He gave her I think, as though we're so stupid, we don't even know what the difference between I think and the proper minister. Please, I don't have to say anything. I just say, thank God we have her on here this evening to come out and say everything that I've been saying about CDC. And this is it. I have nothing much to say but to be happy.
So to be happy, when will you bring your political leader here too?
Mr. So, let's take it one step at a time. You just brought this young lady on. She demonstrated her knowledge of politics in Liberia. She demonstrated her knowledge of the entire political scheme all over the world. She told you that. Well, what more do you want? If I were to bring the Liberty Party leader here, she's gonna. I don't want to say.
Oh my goodness, you are a complete mess.
Mr. So, You see, this is what I keep telling you, and Mr. Edmund Joyce. As long as you guys get stuck with the conservative ideas, you will not be able to truly appreciate the liberal progressive view. When I come out on your show and explain to you, the liberal progressive explain to you how these things work, you try to doubt me, downplay me. Sometimes you shut me off, sometimes you cut my mic off and everything else. But here we are today. A lady has nothing to do with Liberty Party, has nothing to do with the liberal progressive, but she came out and said the pro-poor agenda, she told you it was a copy and paste. I've been saying it, Mr. So I'm so happy this afternoon.
Wow, this is unbelievable.
I'm just giving it to you as it is.
Is that a birthday today?
Mr. What do you mean? Of course, we're having this kind of show. Coming after this young lady, I can call it my birthday. Even if it's not my birthday, I can call it because I'm so happy. The lady came out here, listen to the professor. The professor here, we will win Southeast hands up because they take people for granted. They don't care. What are the people in the Southeast? What are some people don't even vote for them? They don't care. They said they're going to win it. This is how they behave. That's CDC for you. They don't learn, and they will not learn from their mistake. You got Samuel Twice going around telling everybody that everything the president tried to do, the opposition tried to stop the president. Even if the president is not successful in everything else, it's the opposition. Samuel Twice, the man who's supposed to by now supposed to be in the background and have a real minister of finance to come and lead this process. He's not doing it. Mr. So, it's just a matter of time. 2023, Samson Toe and the political party opposition will be on top. I will pull up my binder of error that CDC have been giving me all these years, and then I will be able to narrate them. CDC, we're going to put that on your bike side. I say so.
Will you upgrade your membership card to Liberia instead of USA?
Mr. So, Liberty Party USA is still good. I haven't been suspended. I haven't been kicked out.
No,
I'm still a member of Liberty Party. I don't need to upgrade anything. I'm a Liberty Party member in the USA. Why do I need to upgrade in Liberia? When I move to Liberia, then I can upgrade. I can't stay. I don't have no voting rights. How am I going to upgrade my position in Liberia Liberty Party?
When you're moving?
Mr. So, why will you ask me publicly what am I going to move to Liberia? I have no cost of moving to Liberia right now. As far as I'm concerned, Liberty Party in Liberia and the political party, the opposition political party in Liberia, they're doing well. They're holding the president's feet. His whole body to the fire. Forget about the feet. They're holding his whole body to the fire.
With Ability as chairperson of your party?
Oh, Mr. So, do you have to go that low? Why will you do a low blow like that? This is ridiculous. Do you want me to answer that? Well, Mr. So, let's cut there. I think you've been having a wonderful show. This is a wonderful, wonderful show. I think I'm on a high ground. Why you want to bring me down? I don't know. I think I'm going to have to excuse myself to say thank you very much for hosting me this evening. It's a wonderful. Why are you asking?
You avoiding my question?
Mr. So, why are you asking me about issue that is being resolved? The Liberty Party in Liberia, they will resolve the issue.
They will?
They don't, I don't think they have issue.
So then why do you, if they will, then why should you have problem when the professor said the CDC will? Then why would you want to have problem? That's
no, because CDC, they're in leadership position. And because they shall is messing us up. It has nothing to do with Musa Ability. Musa Ability being a chairman of Liberty Party, that has nothing to do with road construction in Liberia. That has nothing to do with the bad legislation process that is going on in Liberia.
Yeah, well, we need to know what's the party saying. That's what we wanted to, because if the CDC are like you guys have alluded, hold on, will you give me a chance, please?
Okay, go ahead.
You guys said the government is not doing something. This is not happening. We also need to start knowing the opposition policy or their contingency plan, what they have in store for us to know exactly how they're going to do it differently. Or are you also waiting until you get to the presidency before you start to develop a plan?
Mr. So, first thing first, I am just a member of Liberty Party USA.
Okay.
I'm not a member of let me finish. And therefore, I do not pretend, nor do I believe that I'm speaking on behalf of Liberty. You see, the one thing about you're not gonna let Liberal finish. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Liberty Party Liberia. But what I'm saying to you, if there is any issue that the Liberty Party Liberia feel they have to address, they will address it. Now, you, the CEO of Liberian Public Radio, you have a Liberian Public Radio branch. In fact, one of your men is listening right now. He's online with us. Why don't you, you have a lot of contacts in Liberia. Why don't you get these people to bring these people on here? Just like you
I've said that repeatedly. I've called in over and over, and they are not showing us. So I just...
Maybe you're calling the wrong number. You're calling the wrong number.
Okay, help me with the right number. The Liberal Progressive Vice Liberal Popular Radio SAC Standard Sacramento Studio Beat, Samson Brown, Blokuto. I want to thank you as usual for your participation into this program. Thank you so much. Any final message?
Thank you. Yeah, well, tomorrow I will be on here and I will be shaking this platform. I will be playing a lot of video from Samuel Twa. In fact, since the last time that I went on Samuel Twa, he has not come out to say any other ridiculous statement since he left Grand Gila County. I've not heard Samuel Twa saying anything else, which is good because the more it is.
Hallelujah. All right, the Liberals, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise as usual, and have a blessed Sunday evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise.
Well, that's how we're going to bring the curtain down this evening here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. I'm Alphonso Zean. So to our viewers and listeners, thank you for sharing your evening, your afternoon or morning hour, depending on your location, with us here. Join us regularly. If it's your first time, we say thank you for sharing your time. The page is there. Just search in the Facebook channel, Facebook search engine, Liberia Public Radio. Subscribe, like, and that way you get a notification when we are out here. We are also via YouTube. I want to thank you so much for being part of today's program. That's our quest, keeping it proportional. So we're going to be bringing all here to ask them legitimate questions as to how they're going to do it differently, to why they want to be hosting office, and we keep monitoring to what we are doing. I am Alphonso Zean, so seeing very new faces here. I would say welcome. Make this your homepage. Subscribe. It's Liberia Public Radio in your Facebook channel. If you don't know it, ask Muna, Emily, ask Mackie, and all of these people. Musa Dolot, we say thank you to Lydia, Robert Fremont, Charlotte, Robert, Rebecca, McDonald, that's a good name, of course. Our valuable temperament time member to always giving donation here to LPR, to Mackie, we say thank you. Emlet, of course, is our valuable listeners. Her support is relentless. Jenna, Kowunan D. Yala, hopefully I'm calling this name here. Thank you so much. Our own man MacDella from New Jersey area there. And all of you, Anthony, George, Adolphus Zilli, thank you so much. Comments, views expressed does not represent the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio, but we help to facilitate these high-call conversations. Until then, I am Alphonso Zean at the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Have a pleasant Sunday. Please, the virus is still hanging in there. Do everything possibly you can to save a life. The life you save could be yours or that of a friend. What a beautiful program. It's 6:21 Eastern Standard Time right here in the East Coast of the Liberia Public Radio. Have a pleasant evening.
Larissa Kete, one player, so Sola, sola, oh yeah. Mine, again, oh yeah. Soba, oh yeah. Ibole, wo. Ibo Italy, wo. Matimbli, play ya dale. Matimbli, yeah. Sola, oh yeah.
What happened? Sumale, some money. What happened?
Put it there. You didn't know. You better put it there. I know. You didn't know.
Suma, go put it here.
You don't know the money you take from Clay. Put it there.
Suma, you stupid. Oh. You happy?
What do you mean by not happy? You make it busy. You say eat or what? I tell a fool I eat it. And I worry that then you got your money on Piato somebody to me. How do you appear that time?
You have a question money or else the police are going to pay for you.
Look, you didn't have body I fret to. You didn't have body I fret to.
Honey,
you didn't have body
who is this little questions organizing making noise in my vicinity?
None is there. You so what? The guy you tell this character you that your vicinity. And why Dana?
Shut up. She's my wife. Honey, who is this Asian Australopithecus?
Funny game, I lost or complain to you. Ever one Suma, the fellow to my ear worry that he don't want yet.
I always told you to know better. You have to study human characteristics in order to know who to carry your eat and worry. Because humans are diversified. Now you listen to me.
No, I will not listen. I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you.
Shut up.
I'm not listening to you. I will not shut up.
I want you to forget my vicinity.
That's your forget. You tell this guy that you're forget. Look, I tell this guy told you. You bring it to me. Okay, I told you.
The next time I see you here, I will dismantle the demonic joints.
That your demonic told you. That demonic told that we call my grandpa. You saw
nonsense. Let go your questions organism.
Oh, this is the male offspring of my parent. What is the problem that you have brought for me again today?
Ain't no that one there. The whole working said eat or what it. She said, oh, Margaret, eat or what you can eat and you what it before you pay. She go take money from Chris. That's why I go take the money for the money penny. I go see one day I saw him. Does he know what he say about you? He said, why is that your brother who is a nigga pool? He doesn't know nothing. He's a busy borrow. He said, it's a seat to go on we go.
Who is he?
I doesn't know him as all.
No, I mean, who is he to oppose to my intellectual ability? In this case, I'm going to academically castrate him.
Very good.
I will frustrate him.
That's what I'm talking about. That goes so you can't get it.
Then I disgrace what I disgrace him.
Yeah, that go.
We shall be going now. We shall be going.
Does he know what I mean for I mean to look at you say you need to put that goes so you can get it to him.
In this letter, I have to go along with my lexicons.
Yeah. Whatever, you know that's the part?
In the